Good morning, friends. Today is Holy Saturday. Have you ever noticed how quickly we move from the weight and sadness of Good Friday to the joy of Easter? We feel the sorrow on Good Friday, but as soon as we wake up on Saturday morning, we're ready to begin the celebrations, to hide the Easter eggs, fill the candy baskets, and begin preparing the Easter feast. Imagine with me today just what Holy Saturday might have felt like for the disciples, for Mary Magdalene, or for Mary, the mother of Jesus. Jesus, the one they had given up everything to follow and learn from, the one they truly believed was the longed-for Messiah, was now dead. And it had happened so fast. A week ago, the people had been shouting Hosanna as Jesus entered Jerusalem. There hadn't even been time to properly say goodbye. See, it was Friday, the day of the week known as the day of preparation for the Sabbath. In Judaism, Sabbath is on Saturday, but it begins at sundown on Friday night. And on Sabbath, the Jews were not allowed to work. And so on Friday, everything had to be prepared before the sun went down. Jesus died at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. There hadn't even been a lot of time to prepare his body. That's why the women were headed back to the tomb on Sunday morning. It was the first opportunity after the Sabbath to care for his body properly. Now we are on the other side of Easter Sunday. We know about the grief of Good Friday, but we also know about the resurrection. We know the happy ending to the story, but the disciples didn't. On Holy Saturday, they were caught in the space between, the time between the death and the resurrection, the time between the trauma and the return of joy, the time of unknowing, of having to let go of what was and not knowing what would be in the future. And although we weren't there on that first Holy Saturday, our lives are actually filled with Holy Saturday experiences. We experience a death or a significant loss. There's a before and an after. Things are forever changed. Maybe it's the death of a loved one. Maybe it's moving away from the only place we've ever known as home. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's the death of a life dream or the loss of a job you loved. Maybe it's a miscarriage or an illness or injury that won't ever fully heal. And for all of us right now, it's COVID-19 and all of the different losses associated with that. Life will never be the same. There will be a before the pandemic and an after the pandemic. I wonder what it would look like for us as Christians to allow ourselves a little more space for Holy Saturday, to name the losses and the grief, to lament, to be honest about how hard this space between and this unknown reality really is, to allow ourselves permission to feel all the sadness, anger, and pain. And maybe most importantly, though, to remember that Jesus knows what Holy Saturday feels like. The Apostles' Creed says it this way: He suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried, and descended to hell. Jesus knows the pain of being between death and new life. Hebrews 4 says, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses. So then let us approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and grace to help us in our time of need." And so I wonder today, where are you experiencing a Holy Saturday in your life right now? Where are you caught in the space between a loss and the return of some new life? What are you grieving? Envision Jesus' descent into hell on Holy Saturday. What does that truth mean to you? And then, friends, after spending some time naming and facing the pain of Holy Saturday, remember this: Sunday is coming. See you tomorrow.